Okay, here he is, waiting patiently, being allowed to do his first touch for how many years on the Paintbox?
I did 20 years on the Paintbox, and I haven't done Paintbox in probably 15, 17 years or more.
So, no pressure.
No pressure.
Oh, you're drawing a stencil there, remember? Oh, what am I telling you? You know what you're doing.
It's a little slower than the reaction.
I'll edit that bit out. How dare you? You get out.
But the touch, man, the touch is amazing.
So you're finding it flickery as well? Are you looking at the screen?
I'm seeing the black frame all the time. I know
No,
it's
the flicker.
Yeah, the black frame.
Yeah. The interlace, remember?
Yeah.
It's funny because I don't see it because I've been working on this.
It's, I think.
Not about that kind of that more sharp.
Yeah, that's the.
slightly.
That's amazing. You have a person, let's say you cut a headshot and you stick them and you want to make it as if they're on a real background. So you just, when you do the shadow, you put it far away and you stick it in increments in different positions, so then the shadow is softer and looks real. So it's not machine-like. So that's how we used to play with all the numbers. Very small percentage of the black and increments on the
So doing it 2, 4, 6, and 8 so that you get.
So you get a softening.
Right.
It's new metallic font. So basically, you have your stencil and you cut it, the stencil in position, and you stick it on one side, right? And then I go over here and I do. Take this, and I do that. I do a highlight. Do you see this? I do a highlight on one side. Now I go back. I go back here. I stick it again, and I stick it on the other side to the shadow side.
Folks, this is somebody who hasn't used a Paintbox in 25 years. And he's been using it for less than 25 minutes.
Second, I am going to do it correctly. Just give me a minute. Here we are. It's better. Still confirm use. And now I'm doing the reverse. So I have a little bit of that and this original remove state cut. Didn't do what I told it. And there's that. No, don't do it, thank you. Remove, skip, confirm. That's what I did. Now I can take this text and put it wherever I want. I'll do the soft shadow again. Okay, I'm ready for a session. Bring clients in, I'm ready. This is so much fun.
So does it make you feel young again as well?
I love it. I love it. I always love this machine. It's got a go. It's magic touch.
That's how they did.
I can show you what basically what you do is you do a horizon line, 2 colors with the gradations.
Right.
And then you make a little bit of an airbrush on top, and then you do everything that I've shown you.
Yeah.
And we used to also do all these edges on top of it, this kind of edges.
Right.
And we used to give them also a different color for the edges, like you have here. You see?
Yeah.
You have all the edges and all that. So that's how I can show you how.
This is like you and Ira again, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember that.
Okay. Second, let me stick it here so I don't lose it.
Is it still flickering? Or are you getting...
Yeah.
It's this is so interesting. Okay, add solid 4. Remove. All right, let's do it again. I'm not going to blank. I'll stick this refine. Draw with solid 4 pencil. Yes, here we go. Do that, and I'll just do another darkening. Shade is darkening, and I will darken this, and then I'll do a few highlights.
One of the final touches that we did for like an exhibition.
If you just 1 second, I'll stick it again. So I'll do
That's exactly what they
some reflections.
That's right.
And now I go over here. So we got the reflections. I mean, I can sit here. Then I can. We used to sit and chisel it. Like the small corners.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's how we did the front and all the rest of them.
That's right.
That's
Basically how you do all that.
All metal. And then there was all kinds of things like this, and it's
Yeah, these are actually even easier because these
it's
are
just
all,
airbrush.
You just you do airbrush shape.
Yeah.
So how long would that take conventionally to do what you just did? You'd have to have an airbrush artist, and mask and
Traditionally?
lecture set and yeah.
It would. So before that, before what we did, people used to have a camera, and they used to make cutouts and put with the camera and all this, and they used to do very mechanical work, and then put it under a camera, and then video camera that would take it in, and then they could not move anything. So what we used to do is we used to make the background separately, the text separately, the photo separately, everything was separate, and then you can decide. You sit with the producer and you say, okay, now I want it big type, I want small type, I want a big picture, small picture, I want this one. So we had total flexibility that within minutes we had multiple graphics made with all their versions because they themselves weren't sure what they needed. Also, like that text, I just made let's say theoretically a metallic text. That text, I would give it to them as a separate element so they can fly it in and out.
So was this really the start of you could have any variation of something, you had choice? Kind of too much choice in a way.
No, it's the start of having real design on television, not just like having mechanical people. Because you can have mechanical people sit and start doing layouts, and she showed me the edges. I went and I did it because I went to design school. So we brought design into television that was very mechanical. Both 3D animations, 2D animations, everything was mechanical because it was done by people that were mechanics.
And Marlene, you said that you could also then affect, like the writers, you would interact, you could make choices and give different ideas
Absolutely.
to the shows.
Saturday Night Live is where the production time is really compressed. And in the
But not past the edges.
television graphics. In fact, when I was hired at NBC in the art department, they were the stations were left over from the old school guys who had airbrush spigots at each desk because they would have to airbrush things on with physical paint. And this was great because we just designed everything. I drew so much of this quickly. SNL has to like come together in what, 48 hours? I mean, you had no time. So the Paintbox really made that happen and made the graphics like.
And you would be able to give them ideas that they wouldn't have been. They added to their comedy because it was available. Like you could swap heads or do whatever that they wanted immediately.
Well, in the case of the metal type that we're talking about, they wanted like a heavy metal parody. So the look is that airbrushed metal type. And again, in the past, how would you get that without having someone coming in and airbrushing it and that taken in under the camera? This way, we just had the type just in monotone, in black, and then everything happened in the Paintbox.
Right.
So, and quickly, too.
What was nice about SNL, which was different than a lot of than everybody else at the time, was they were not mechanical and they were not just build whatever is on the Paintbox. They would go shoot in the street, bring those into the and stick all kinds of postcards. They were always conceptual. That's why they got a lot of respect within the industry in New York, is they were conceptual. They had good designers, but it was beyond good design. They had conceptual people.
Well, they were kind of generally a younger team, right? Of younger people doing like more funky things, so that it wasn't this staid idea of, like chirons and simple things. So they could push back. I mean, the whole point was they could push boundaries. So that was in every department, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And we still had all the old school typesetting machines in our art department, which was kind of wild.
That's fun.
You had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, they didn't even get Mac computers till like the mid-90s, and that's pretty late. So
Right.
we still had a photo typesetting machine, and we also had a vinyl lettering cutter, not unlike what's being put up there. And the typesetting, in fact, for Wayne's World was initially done on that, and that was taken in, it was printed out on the transfer paper and taken into the Paintbox.
Right.
It was like so crazy.
They were go to the Olympics, and the main company that was called Resonate that did the design for the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, and we all meet in Lillehammer in 92 or 94, I can't remember. And there was, because there were floods in LA, they had a little bit of a delay in their production. So they came into the Olympics, and they had hundreds of files that were not yet combined together. So they, thinking we had like 10 or 15 of these paint boxes lined up. I was in charge of all the paint boxes in Henry's. And what they wanted to do is to have people sit manually and hit call next picture, paste the map, and then go back and call and paste the name. But they had everything ready. So, but they didn't know about sequence. So I had 5 machines going into one server, and one machine would save the sequence, would save, let's say, the person with the flag, save it. The next machine takes it, and he keeps on saving the maps, and the next person would sit there. Now, none of them had to do anything but to sit like this, and the machines would. So I lined up 5 or 6 machines to do sequence. What we did is we'd sequence in 2 hours. We did what worked for people that didn't know this. Would have taken 3 days. So we just had a series, and then the last machine, we're just checking that they're all correct. And we did it like an assembly line. So sequence was also the way to go to tape. Because when you have sequence and you went to tape, you would time it. And each time you want it to be 20 seconds on the videotape. And the only way you can do it is if you're a moron. You would sit there with a clock. But what I used to do is to set the sequence. So it calls the next and go and drink coffee and go hang out and then come back 30 minutes later. It's over. And I don't have to sit there like an idiot and call the next picture and the next. So
It's a press sequence. Have you press sequence yet?
yeah.
You remember? There you go.
Show menu, record. Yeah, you do the record and then it does a loop. And that's the big deal. Now, it goes in a speed that is amazing. So if you didn't know how to use sequence, you really were not professional. You were just not a hack, but you were not professional because you didn't understand how to work real fast, to do hundreds of items within an hour session, and you didn't know how to go to tape, and you were just very limited. You were just drawing there one by one, and this was the big deal. The sequence was very, very important from a professional. Now, if you use sequence, you have to know how to do the naming convention, because each time you would have to save them as, let's say, New York City 001.
That's right.
And then you would keep on going, and then the next one was 002. So everything had to have a naming convention. Also, if somebody else comes into the project, they know exactly where everything is.
Sure.
And for speed. So we used to do, again, Olympics, Super Bowls. We used to do hundreds and hundreds of files, but it wouldn't take as long as you think because we knew what sequence does.
I think they did batch processing like that for when they were doing the sports graphics. Like when they would have a player's image come in and the stats, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then.
But you have to
and it was
prepare
the
them,
naming,
hundreds,
right? Because you could save
hundreds
over.
of them. And it
So,
was-
so obviously,
I remember that.
people talk about GIFs, and I'm like,
Another
Oh,
one
yeah.
that you need
There's-
to know. I want to say one thing that is like what was important at the time. I'm not talking about the final image, but the and people that work with that every day. Color map was very, very important. It's now every. I don't have a picture of it, but I can sit here and create one that I can show you the power of this machine being way advanced. So the type in the machine does not go big enough. You would get through a camera, you would bring it on, and then you had to overlay it. So sometimes there were a lot of grays. So you create a map that has. Now let me say that you create a map that has a gradation from black and white, and it has to. Didn't do it in 200 years, so excuse me, but I'll have to show it to you because that was the. You knew who are the masters when they came in with their own color maps. They would load their color maps. Let's just see, is this, where am I getting red from? I want to get.
remember, save your picture before you. Wait, you didn't press confirm.
I see in the library.
Are you Michelangelo?
No. I know that. I know exactly what's coming. I just. This was like the top people would have their own maps, and let me just. So
you're talking about a palette, that you'd save a palette.
palette was the most. If you were to be a professional, you had to have your own color mixes. I had specific yellows because the yellow that you have here
I see.
on broadcast, you see this yellow?
Yeah.
Becomes green
Right.
or piss.
Right.
And what you had to do is we every color that you have here, we used to remix it. So when it gets on broadcast, that yellow had to be a little bit more with a little bit touch of red.
Right.
Otherwise it will go into green or piss.
And the illegal colours. You're trying to avoid the illegal colours.
So there was. So I'm going to try and do once again. What's up here? That's
And
cute.
zero black and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. So show you. Let me do this. Okay. Now what I'm showing you now was not thick enough. You see, I remember. This is about the thickness. Now you go into.
It's funny how it's
Create palettes. 1 second.
color fiddle.
1 second. Yeah. Where is creator?
I think it's under. Try press effects again. Create palette.
Here we go. Where is it?
There.
Create palette.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so this is not perfect.
That's a pretty good guess there, Micha.
No, I'm not. But so when you take black and white artwork, there's nothing here in the library, right?
Well, black and white art, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was my answer.
Just press Just press the.
Where do I find anything? Find
Type picture.
this picture and where's the browse. All right, so check this out. So in a lot of cases, what you do is you go into the effects and so one way we'll do monochrome. And the other way, so this is monochromic.
It's
this,
accessing
if I
the
had,
palette.
So yeah, so if I had here, just to destroy my palette, if I had here this,
I see. That's going to be interesting. It's going to put that in.
so you'd start. Now I'm doing it rough. We used to do it like tight. The other important thing is that. You would take black and white artwork, and let's say this is black and white artwork, and you come over here, you make it completely black and white, and then you do the overlay to the text or whatever you wanted, so then I can go in and start, just as an example,
Just that. Right.
go
right.
into the black sections or the dark sections.
Right.
But you used to clean out text like that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
now what I do see is that I did not do it right. The graphics, and that should be, no, I'm sorry, back.